Hi everybody, it's Brian. It's been a while since I did a look at a GamePro issue I have, so we'll get to it. When I left off, we last looked at GamePro issue number 61 from August 1994. This one is GamePro issue number 62, and this is from September 1964. You can see a game that I've been looking to pick up for the Super Nintendo, a beat 'em up. Similar to Batman Returns on the SNES, that is The Death and Return of Superman. Been looking for this game for a while. Pretty fun Superman game, one of the better Superman games, actually. Free strategy guides, we had The Death and Return of Superman, The Incredible Hulk for the Genesis. We have Mortal Kombat 2 for the SNES, Genesis, Game Gear, and Game Boy. Pro Reviews, Heart of the Alien, Blackthorn, Mega Man 5 for Game Boy, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Previews, we have Revolution X. I think this is a summer consumer electronics show coverage. And we have 32X Games, Virtual Racer Deluxe, Racing Deluxe, the Nintendo Ultra 64, and Killer Instinct, Earthworm Jim, Contra Hard Corps, Donkey Kong Country, and The Lion King. So let's open this up and see what's inside. So inside we got Maximum Carnage ads, some Game Genie codes. And we have this lovely ad right here for the Sega CD. You see they have the nice Model 2 Sega CD there with the Model 2 Genesis. Ad for the Philips CDI, more of a set-top box that could play games than a console. But it was a video game console, I should say. Here we have GamePro September 1994, the index. The mask was out, so here's the mask right here. The making of the mask. Revolution X for the arcades. It featured Aerosmith in a shooting video game with a light gun. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Super Nintendo. Very fun beat 'em up. Double Dragon 5, which it was like a one-on-one fighting game to take part of the craze of fighting games that was out at the time. I didn't really care for it. I remember some of the characters were based off the Double Dragon animated series. And this ad I love. It was for the original Breath of Fire game, which is one of my favorites on the Super Nintendo. It was just an amazing artwork for it. Made you really want the game. Oh, here's an interesting article. Is Nintendo relaxing its standards? During the past year, the debate over violence in video games raged in light of congressional hearings and an outcry by the California Attorney General. Nintendo was quick to tout its efforts to temper violent content in games, a sharp contrast to its main competitor, Sega. The prime example was Mortal Kombat. The red blood in the arcade and via code, the Genesis version of Mortal Kombat became gray sweat in the SNES release. So they're talking about is Nintendo relaxing its standards on blood with the release of Mortal Kombat 2, I believe. Here's some of the letters from readers. Here's one, Cart Queries. Are there any RPGs available for the Game Gear? Defender of Oasis and Dragon Crystal are two already available. We had a preview of Sega's Shining Force for the Game Gear in last month's issue. Are there any fighting games for the NES? How about a little Turtles action? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. In Mortal Kombat, what is Raiden saying when he does his Superman move? Acclaim's programmers say The noises Raid makes are just random sound effects that mean nothing. Here's some more letters here. How long will the battery last in Sonic 3 and other games with a battery back out? Approximately 3 years. So there you go. I have games that are much older than 3 years and still have the batteries working. Here's an ad for Final Fantasy II. Great game. It really blew me away when I played it at a friend's house. Amazing game. Really, the first game of its time for me. RPG-wise, it had an immense story. The story was just so emotional and great. I still love that Final Fantasy II to this day. So many twists and turns. I remember Cain the Dragon Knight. He's in your party. He betrays you. You know, just back and forth. Some great envelope art here. As always, love to go through these envelope arts as a kid. Wish that I could draw this well. Here's one that's kind of interesting in about the console wars. Let's see if I can get the glare off of it here. But it has SNES rules. It has Super Mario on Yoshi eating the head off of Tails, and that's really defines the console wars in the mid 90s between Sega and Nintendo. The fierce rivalries kids had. Speaking of Final Fantasy II, here's Final Fantasy III, a game that just blew my mind as well. The opera scene in particular, amazing game. You have some of the espers here. Ifrit, I think, is one of them. And that looks familiar. I think that's Ultros. And that's an enemy that had wheels on his hands, I remember. Weird Science. Oh, yeah, the short-lived television series based on the 80s movie Weird Science about kids who kind of nerdy and they create their own girl to, you know, have and be with them. The Cutting Edge, looking to feature this well-known system, would go on to change the face of gaming forever. The Sony Playstation, amazing system. I remember when it first came out, I was like, Sony, and a lot of people were like, Sony's going into the console race. It was weird. I didn't even give it a second thought. I was a big Nintendo guy, but I didn't get a PlayStation until 97, 98. I think the first game I got was Wild Arms. I got Final Fantasy VII after that. But this system right here, yeah, it changed everything. So they talk about, let's read a little bit about this Sony PlayStation. Sony is getting ready to play games. The CD-ROM-based PlayStation is set for release in Japan in November 1994 and the US in 1995. The PlayStation should be a reliable piece of hardware, thanks in part to Sony's links with LSI Logic in the US, one of the leading companies that designs semiconductors. The PlayStation should pack major game playing muscle. Here's an ad for the Super Nintendo, Play It Loud. You had a whole bunch of games featured, Donkey Kong Country, Tetris 2, the FX game Dirt Track, Stunt Racer FX, Uni Racer, Super Punch-Out, and Illusion of Gaia. And Nintendo would always go with these sick ads where discussing things like bandages, and Nintendo Power had a lot of them as well. I don't know if Nintendo Power had ads during '94. I don't know when they started having ads in their magazine, but their official ads in their magazine were kind of gross. Here's Hot at the Arcade, Revolution X, and Primal Rage. Primal Rage, remember, I never played it. Maybe played a little bit on the 32X, but I remember it being cool that there was dinosaurs fighting. Bubsy 2. Popular, not, I shouldn't say popular, but a platform series that had 2 games for side-scrolling games, anyway. Here's an Atari Jaguar Do the Math ad. Preview Mortal Kombat 2. Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Gear, and Game Boy. I like Mortal Kombat 2 a lot more than the first Mortal Kombat. The first Mortal Kombat felt clunky, and I didn't really care for it as much, but Mortal Kombat 2 I really liked. I was never a huge Mortal Kombat fan, but Mortal Kombat 2 was my favorite. And I don't own Mortal Kombat 2, surprising enough. Sylvester and Tweety game. Big Looney Tunes fan I am. And the Consumer Electronics Show, Best of CES. Killer Instinct for the Ultra 64. As you know, the Ultra 64 would become the Nintendo 64. Best Super Nintendo, Mortal Kombat 2. Primal Rage for the arcade. Best Sega CD, Samurai Shodown. Earthworm Jim, Best Genesis. And Super Nintendo. Best Genesis, you had Lion King was in a tie with Earthworm Jim. Graphics achievement, Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong swing back into action in a game that utilizes a hot new rendering tech. Unique to create out-of-this-world graphics, Nintendo has teamed up with Rare and Alias to create this hop-and-bop platform-style adventure with more than 90 levels, a 32 meg cart. The game is a multi-scrolling romp through jungles, caves, and a mine. 3D rendered graphics are a fab, and the tunes sound great too. Best of 3DO, you had Gex. I remember my friend had Gex. It was the 3DO game that was really pushed to launch the system, if I recall correctly. Best Jaguar, Doom. And the Doom version of Jaguar is pretty good. CDI, Burn Cycle. Best Game Gear, Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble. Game Boy, Donkey Kong Land. Mickey Mania, The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse. Super Punch-Out. Super Return of the Jedi. Looney Tunes Hoops. For the Genesis, Contra Hard Corps. Legends of Justice League Task Force. I think it's a fighting game, it looks like. Demon's Crest, another popular Super Nintendo game now. I don't recall it being very popular back then, but now it's very, very sought after. Mega Man X2, the second in the series of X games. I don't know if X2 had that special chip in it or was X3. One of them did. Let's see if it says. Yeah, utilizes a new chip technology the Capcom says will enhance the graphics and gameplay. Quick looks at Mega Man The Wily Wars, which I don't think ever came out here in the US. I think it was PAL regions only. Which means Europe and Australia, I believe. I think Australia is PAL. Animaniacs. I loved Animaniacs. Boogerman, which is a fun game. I believe it's made by the people who made Earthworm Jim. Wild Guns, another very popular, very sought after game now. Here's the Catapult modem. Never heard of that. Wonder if that would become similar to the X-Band. Atari Jaguar CD and modem. I didn't know that Atari had a modem. The Jaguar had a modem. Here's a bat. I remember this, though. It was a bat controller for baseball games. Oh, this Aurora Interactive. You strap it to your back, and it has, they say, this virtual reality vest rocks. Strap to your Aurora Interactive or attach it to the back of a chair, and it has huge speaker. It acts as a huge speaker for your video games. So it would shake and vibrate your back and stuff. Kind of gimmicky. Clay Fighter for the Genesis. I had this for the Super Nintendo. I didn't really realize there was a Genesis port. Or I did and just kind of suppressed it. The 3DO. Well, I did like the 3DO. I used to play it at my friend's house. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. This is the game that never made it to Super Nintendo. I kind of wish it would have. It was a side-scrolling beat-em-up, much like Final Fight. Very similar to Final Fight. Software, etc. The Mask. Making the game and little scenes from the movie. Fighter's History. I didn't know that was an arcade game. Balls. Kind of similar. It reminded me of Vector Man a little bit. And they have the moves for balls here. You were just a guy made out of balls. That was the whole thing. Jungle Book for the Genesis. Got okay reviews. Here's an ad for Shaq Fu. The Jungle Book ad. World Heroes Combat Cars for the Genesis. Combat Cars did not get very good reviews. Heart of the Atlantis for the Sega CD. I've never heard of this. Looks like similar graphics to Flashback. In fact, it looks a lot like Flashback. Or actually, I should say Out of This World. Oh, it's the sequel to Out of This World. That's why. Brutal Paws of Fury. Vey for the Sega CD by Working Designs. Zero Tolerance, a first-person shooter for the Genesis. Interesting ad there. Blackthorn for the Super Nintendo. Pretty good reviews, 4.5s and a 5.0 for Fun Factor. And the Super Nintendo version is pretty good. They really liked it. Bubsy 2, got pretty good reviews. 4s and 4.5 for sound. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, got okay reviews, not average, but it is a fun game. Here's an ad for, or a pro-strategy guide for the Death and Return of Superman and the Incredible Hulk. Death and Return of Superman is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Been looking for it for a while, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. The Incredible Hulk, I never played. But I heard it's a decent, from what I've seen, it looks like a decent game. Typical to what you'd see back then, when everybody was pumping out during the 16-bit era. People found out, how to perfect these side-scrolling games. Those games were the first-person shooters at the time because they were so popular. As popular as first-person shooters are today. Pocky and Rocky 2. Been looking for this game. Kind of a pricey game. I have the first one. Plays similar to a shoot 'em up, but you're a kid in this little, I don't know if it's a cat or whatever. World Heroes, another fighting game. Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures. Nothing like Pac-Man. It's like an adventure game where you interact with the main character, Pac-Man. Very unique. Rue from Clan of the Grey Wolf, 16-Bit Gems, did a video on this, if you're interested. Another ad for the Death and Return of Superman. Shine's Revenge. I don't know what game that, I've never heard of that game. Looks like a shoot 'em up. Speed Racer. Skeleton Warriors. Oh yeah, the I think it was a cartoon show, but also action figures. And they looking at them, they look like really good action figures. Very detailed. Makes me to believe like the cartoon was just created to sell the action figures. Marco. Never played it. I think it's for the Super Nintendo. Again, another platformer. Shockwave for the 3DO. Here's an ad for awesome, totally cool music, free. So get a free CD or cassette when you buy 2 Pilot Pen packs. Gritters for the 3DO. Trading cards. Big trading card push back in the mid-90s. They had Marvel trading cards too. Wolfenstein 3D for the Jaguar got pretty good reviews, 4.5s and 5.0 for fun factor and graphics. Hotel Mario. These are CDI games. Mega Maze. Fighter's History Dynamite for the Neo Geo. Alien vs. Predator for the Jaguar. Some ads for some strategy guides. The Secret of Mana one I believe I have. You can mail in and get these. Mail in and get these. I have this Game World Secret Super Mario World 1, 2. Sports pages. I used to just skip this section on as a kid. Here's some Tengen games for the Sega CD. Look like shooting games. Soul Star is a shoot 'em up, it looks like, and Battle Corps. Role Players Realm, Shining Force 2, and ouch. For sound and control, they gave it a 2.5. And for fun factor, a 3. Wow, they didn't like it at all. This RPG is way too familiar. The cuteness and elusiveness of the game will really annoy you after a while. And that's not the half of it. The game progresses at a pace that would slow the Roadrunner down. If you're looking for something special in the Genesis RPG arena, don't use the Force, Luke. Dungeon Master 2 Skull Keep. Vay for the Sega CD. Mega Man 5 for the Game Boy. Here's the scores down here. Got a 2.5 for Control. Wow, a Mega Man game that low in Control. Mega Man has enjoyed success with its tried and true gameplay, but Mega Man 5 is only for the hardcore Mega Man fan. Anyone else looking for some good side-scrolling action may find this title too tame. If this cart's the last Mega Man for the Game Boy, it's a sad tribute to the classic series. Wow, jeez. There's an ad for Blockbuster with underwear. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. Oh yeah, this game actually debuted with the Super Game Boy. You didn't get it with it, but it was one of the main games that was, promoted with it. And it's very, very, very good from what I understand. Sequest ESV, if you ever remember the Sequest show with, forget the name of the actor who killed himself. He was on it. He was in Sidekicks with Chuck Norris, and he was in the Neverending Story 3, I think. Sonic Spinball. Dynamite Headdy. And they gave it kind of mediocre reviews. Don't miss Headdy when he makes this Genesis debut. In the meantime, this Game Gear will give you enough practice to keep you above the crowds. Oh, this is the Game Gear version. Not yet on the Genesis. SWAT Pro. Oh yeah, Aladdin was out in theaters. Or it was just came out. I can't wait till Aladdin comes out on Blu-ray. Kind of off topic there. Oh yeah, here's an ad for the game Balls, I believe. You got balls, that's what it says. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry I skipped this. This is Fighter's Edge. A new section they had, like, GamePro went all out with their fighting games. They had, like, combos, move lists, all the time. And this is for Virtual Fighter. And these graphics were high-tech, very amazing at the time. Very crude now, but you gotta remember that 1994, people were still, this Star Fox was out. Or was it out? But Star Fox was either out or coming out, and Polygon's graphics in games were still very primitive. So something like this was amazing looking. The XI system, it came out at $500. The Vivid 3D, which gave you pseudo 3D sounds for the Genesis and SNES and NES. Buyers Beware section. Overseas Prospect. Wild Tracks, which I believe is Stunt Racer FX. This is interesting because it gives you prices of games here. See if I can find some role-playing games. They tended to be the most expensive because they were usually really big. I don't... Okay, SNES role-playing games. Breath of Fire was $59. Dragon Warrior 5, well, that's an import, obviously, $62. So yeah, games were still around $60 there. Super Nintendo system was $139. There's Brain Lord down there. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo goes 3DO. Very good port for the 3DO, but you needed the 6-button play, as a 6-button controller to really play it. As you know, the 3DO only has 3 buttons on its controller. So you had to use the start button to switch between your punches and kicks. Top rentals for Blockbuster Video. Number 1 for the Nintendo was Jungle Book. For the Super Nintendo, Super Street Fighter 2. For the Genesis, Super Street Fighter 2. For the Sega CD, Rebel Assault. And number 7 for the Super Nintendo, Super Metroid. Beauty and the Beast for the NES. I thought that was only in Europe. This must include Europe. That's interesting. I didn't know there was a Beauty and the Beast released over in America for the Nintendo. The SNES Pro Pad, I have this controller. Like a see-through controller with just individual turbo settings on it. Nothing special. And we end it with an ad for Mortal Kombat 2, which nothing can prepare you coming Friday, September 9th. So there you have it, guys. About 30-minute look at GamePro issue number 62 from September 1994. I hope to have these out more frequently. So everybody take care, and I'll talk with you again and see you again on my next GamePro video. Bye.